Which leads us to intermediaries. If one company isn't going to handle all of those flows themselves, then that implies they're going to need help, and we call that help intermediaries. So a marketing channel always has a minimum of two parties, a producer and an end user. If you don't have a producer and an end user, you're making it yourself and eating it yourself, and that's not marketing, that's just subsistence. So at least a producer and a consumer. And the goal of a channel of distribution is to move the product as efficiently as possible from producer to consumer. And by efficiently, we mean cheap, least cost. And the idea of an intermediary is sometimes adding people to a channel of distribution can make it more efficient. And that sounds kind of counterintuitive, doesn't it? That if we, you have the advertisement, we've eliminated the middleman and passed the savings along to you. Well, what if it's cheaper with the middle person involved? Which many times is the case. So an intermediary is just simply an entity, business person that assists in the movement of products through the channel. And the ways that the intermediaries can make a channel more efficient, specializations, economy of transactions, and value added. And kind of the test of whether or not an intermediary is going to be successful is looking at the overall channel. Is the channel of distribution more efficient with the intermediary or without it? I remember working back in Toledo in the 80s, just starting to get into the digital revolution a little bit, and we were dealing with an electronic distributor, an electronics parts distributor, and the electronics parts distributor was complaining that my costs keep going up and I can't raise my prices. And an electronic parts distributor is one of that, the of the distributor is to have inventory close to the point of manufacturer so that people who need electronic parts can get them quickly. Well, today with online, FedEx, overnight shipping, do I really need to have a physical location next to the customer? Or as long as I can get the part to the customer within 12 hours and I can provide a greater assortment at a lower price, my friend the electronic distributor is out of business because he can't compete on price. So he's out of business, and we have new models of, again, that disintermediation, reintermediation, ways of getting the product to the consumer. So specialization. Businesses aren't good at everything. One of the most common intermediaries is to involve a retail partner. Very few businesses are A, good at, or B, have the resources to manage the retail relationship with the customer on their own. Now, we even talked, Apple is the vertical integration and has made a huge investment in opening Apple stores so that you can have the Apple experience and own. And again, even with all of those stores, the vast majority of their business is through intermediaries. So that's critical. In addition to retail distribution, there's different specialists. We talk about owning the car, and we don't own the car. The bank owns the car. So the bank is in there helping us finance the car. The bank might be helping the dealer finance the car, but the bank is really good at generating money and giving it to us in small amounts when we need it. Insurance companies are really good at handling risk. Some very large companies will self-insure, but otherwise it may be more effective to outsource it. Yes?
I was buying t-shirts from China, and I decided to go with a friend instead of with a broker. And when they told me the truck caught fire and all the shirts were gone, there was no one to go to.
So he's talking about I was ordering some shirts from China and chose to go through a friend rather than through a broker because the friend was less expensive, but then the truck caught fire, and that's that risking. So there's physical possession and risking, and I owned it, and it burned, and I'm out of luck, and you self-insured. You might not have known it at the time, but you self-insured. And again, if you're not aware of what you're doing, it's still happening, you're just not aware of it.